Shalom. First and foremost, before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachaha Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. To you I say Shalom. The title of this lesson will be As Rome, So is America. And we know, according to the scriptures, the dragon, being an allegory to Rome is the same as America. It's America, all it is Rome 2.0, is that deadly wound that dragon had that was healed, right? That's the reason why after the Dark Ages, you had a thing called Renaissance, right? Which means rebirth. The rebirth of what? Of that Greco-Roman Empire coming back. The Greco-Roman customs, right? And all of it that comes with it. And you see it to this day. The Latin terms being used, the 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 same philosophies, the same customs that was in Rome is being upheld to this day, right? But in this lesson, really what I'm going to touch on is the inflation and the way Rome fell is the same way we're seeing Rome 2.0, aka America, falling before our eyes, right? So I got this article from RT News. It pretty much goes, the title says, the U.S. can certainly fund two wars, but should it? And it says, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen made headlines this week when she said that America can afford help Israel and Ukraine in their respective war efforts. Now, if you've been keeping track of the financial situation that America is in, we know that America's economy is on the verge of collapsing. America's debt is so far up, I believe it has surpassed already $33 million in $33 trillion in debt. And there's no way that America is going to be able to pay that off. But yet you have, your president, right? Joe Biden, this senile old man who y'all Jakes and bug out fucking Edomites have elected as y'all's president, as y'all's leader, right? This motherfucker's over here sending more money, and all these people in the U.S. Treasury, are sending, are pretty much saying, "Hey, let's go ahead and send some more money. Let's send some more money." Whenever you got all this debt amounted, which ultimately is going to be transferred over to the citizens, right? You're going to start seeing taxes rising up. You're going to start seeing everything, prices on everything start going up. Inflation is going to go through the roof, right? And you're already seeing, a little bit of inflation happening right now. Inflation is going to start going up soon, like higher and higher, to the point where, in the precept where it says, as a matter of fact, let me pull it up real quick. Let me pull this up real quick. Come on, if it'll load. It's in the book of Revelation. Let me see, right here. Revelation 6 and verse 6, it says, in the King James on the left side, it says, and I heard a mist in Salakia, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So a penny going into the denarion, right, which is a day's wage. As a matter of fact, let me read it in the NOT as well. It says, "And I heard a voice from among the four living beings say, a loaf of wheat for three, or Salakia, a loaf of wheat bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay, and don't waste the olive oil and wine." So pretty much going into inflation, things is gonna get so or prices is gonna hike up so much to where a day's wage, your daily wage, is only going to be able to afford enough sustenance for that day. And it's all because of the inflation that's going to take place. And this happened before. This happened back in Rome, and this is going to happen again. And like I said, we're going to get into that. But again, in this article going into the U.S. Treasury Secretary saying that, hey, America's going to be able to afford paying Israel for their war efforts and Ukraine. But yet we got this huge debt that's being accumulated and that can't be paid off, right? So showing you the the mismanagement of money, the mismanagement of priorities. These people that y'all have elected to be y'all's leaders don't give a shit about y'all. Talking to y'all Americans, they don't give a shit about y'all. They're all set up to work for the higher ups, right? The elite. They have a plan that they're trying to go for. They don't give a shit about the peons, right? The sheeple. They don't give a shit about y'all. All right. But let's continue on. It says, America can certainly afford to stand with Israel and support Israel's military needs. And we also can and must support Ukraine in its struggle against Russia, Yellen told Britain Sky News. Inflation has been high, and it's been a concern to households. It's come down considerably. At the same time, we have about the strongest labor market we've seen in 50 years, with 3.8% unemployment. And at the same time, uh, the Biden administration has passed legislation that is strengthening our economy in years to come for the medium term, she emphasized. Now, of course, this is all bullshit. Economists have constantly been saying, America's time is up. The end is coming. The the unavoidable fate of America is here. America has been living lavishly. All Americans have been living lavishly, enjoying, making money and living this American dream. But those days are over with now, man. And there ain't no healing America, as the scripture says. There ain't no healing Babylon. This place is done. And we're seeing it just it's gonna get worse, man. They're funneling money in a different direction. They're not putting it into the economy. They're not putting it into the infrastructure. They're not putting it into where it needs to go to help America survive. Either ways, this place is done anyways. But we're seeing that they're transferring all this wealth over to the war efforts. Why? Because we're living in a war time. Ain't no more peace. We're in the beginning of shit going bad. Shit getting worse. you know. But we got a lot of these Americans, still asleep. Primarily you Jakes. You Jakes are fast asleep. Y'all snoring, not knowing what the hell is going on around you. Shit's about to pop off, man. And the only protection that you can get It's not through y'all's money, but through the Most High. Talking to you, Jakes, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? But let's continue on reading a little bit more. It says, aside from the obvious fact that this is not true on its face, given that the House of Representatives has no speaker and thus cannot pass any appropriations uh, for either country at the moment, one has to question the basic wisdom of this notion. Exactly. The basic wisdom, just common sense. Y'all are in debt. Y'all got no money. So how are you saying that you be able to fund both Ukraine and Israel in their war efforts when you got homelessness going through the roof over here in America? You got immigrants uh, uh, that are coming through the border. Y'all paying them money, but you can't pay the people that's been here for a long period, longer than them, citizens. You can't even pay them. You know, and this is why, hey, Americans are fed up. And soon we might start seeing, a civil war break off, man, pop off, because, hey, we're seeing, if things get worse, we're gonna start seeing some things like that. We're seeing right now people looting the stores, breaking into these flash break-ins, you know, snatch and grabs, right? But things is just gonna escalate. That fire is gonna get fanned, man. But let's continue on. It says, one has to question the basic wisdom of this notion. Even if America could theoretically afford to support both war efforts, is it really a cause worthy of taxpayers' hard-earned dollars? For example, in my column last week for RT, I referenced the fact that 24 billion in C-19 related funding for child care centers around the country had expired the week prior. Now 2 weeks ago, which according to an estimate last month by the Century Foundation will affect 3.2 million children, slash 10.6 billion in revenue from lost worker productivity as parents reduce hours or leave jobs in the scramble to find new care, and could result in the closure of as many as 70,000 care centers. So that means less work, recession, right? Recession meaning loss of jobs. People ain't gonna be able to get jobs. More homelessness, more unemployment, right? If they don't cut on unemployment, which they might here soon, right? But it says, but we can also think a little bigger. It is estimated that so far the U.S. has pledged around 100 billion to Ukraine alone. Now the Biden White House has presented a draft appropriation package to Congress that would see another 100 billion sent to Israel, Ukraine, and the border, with the brunt of it designated for the former two. If America can afford hundreds of billions in bombs for its proxies, right? Proxy wars, it's all proxy. Pretty much meaning Israel is, I mean, not Israel, United States is at war with certain countries via Israel and Ukraine, by the way of Israel and Ukraine. But it says, if America can afford hundreds of billions in bombs for its proxies, what else it might be able to afford? Well, for Salakia, well, for just an estimated 173 billion more, the U.S. would be able to follow through on President Biden's plan to cancel 10 thousands of dollars in U.S. debt for federal borrowers, right? And you have that just happened recently, where Biden was like, nope, we ain't gonna clear y'all out of y'all student debt. But it says, while virtually every study on the subject is in unanimous agreement that a single payer Medicare for all healthcare system in the U.S. would not only pay for itself, but in fact save Americans several trillion over a decade, according to even the right-wing Mercatus Center. Surely 200 billion could help increase coverage in the country. Finally, it is estimated that the first year of a tuition-free college model in America would cost about 58 billion, just around a quarter of current and proposed spending on Ukraine and Israel. Hey, so there you go, man. Hey, all these people needing help in America, and yet America ain't helping out its citizens. It's helping out people abroad. You know, America can't keep his nose uh, out of shit that's not his business, right? Let me get this real quick. Habakkuk 2 and verse 5, it says, Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, which is his philosophies, right? He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. You know, he can't stay home. He can't stay here in America. He can't focus on, what's going on here, right? All hell's breaking loose over here. You got a fentanyl problem. You got, again, like I said, a homelessness problem. Unemployment problem, inflation problem. So much shit going on, right? But yet what? It says, He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Meaning, hey, he's gonna do what he wants to do, man. He's gonna go and do a venture over here, a venture over there, spend money over here, spend money over there, just to enlarge his control, just to widen his grip over the earth. But really what he's doing is thinning it. He's making it even more thin. Same thing that happened with Rome, right? But let's see. That's pretty much it. We don't gotta read much more in this. That was pretty much the point. But I wanted to get another article. This is from history.com. Pretty much saying 8 reasons why Rome fell. But really don't. I just wanted to get one reason out of these 8. Let's see. Right here. Over expansion and military spending. Right? So this is one of the reasons why Rome fell. It says, at its height, the Roman Empire stretched from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Euphrates River in the Middle East. Excuse me. It says, but its grandeur may have also been its downfall. With such a vast territory to govern, the empire faced an administrative and logistical nightmare. Even with their excellent road systems, the Romans were unable to communicate quickly or effectively enough to manage their holdings. Rome struggled to marshal enough troops. That's what's happening now, man. The United States is having trouble now, getting troops in, man. Recruiting new troops. So now you're hearing talks of a draft coming soon, right? Where men and women are going to have to serve, right? From ages 18 to 26, right? So, a draft is seeming more and more likely, right? Because ain't nobody trying to go out there, man. Ain't nobody trying to join this military, because we know that, hey, if World War III breaks out, everybody's gonna die. All these soldiers, they're all gonna be sent out to just give their lives up, you know. But it says Rome struggled to marshal enough troops and resources to defend its frontier from local rebellions and outside attacks. It says, and by the 2nd century, the Emperor Hadrian was forced to build his famous wall in Britain just to keep the enemy at bay. as more and more funds were funneled into the military upkeep of the empire. Technological advancement slowed, and Rome's civil infrastructure fell into this disrepair. And that's what's happening to America, man. The same thing is happening to America, you know? But let's see. Let's get a precept going into just to back that up in Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9 in the King James. It says, "The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." So things that happened before is happening now. You know, there's no new thing under the sun. It's just funny how the Most High had it to where Rome fell back then, or Rome's fall was one of the things that attributed to its fall was inflation. You know, the economy, and the same thing is happening now. Inflation, the economy, you know, everything is starting to collapse. You know, we're seeing the same similarities, same parallels between Rome and, you know, Rome 2.0, America. Now let's get this other article that I had pulled up. This one is from Slovakia. This one is from uh, La Voice de New York. But it says inflation crippled and sank the Roman Empire. Now could do the same to U.S. It says it's a little known fact that the ancient Romans struggled with inflation as we do today, and that indeed it was one of the major factors that led to its downfall. Unfortunately, they failed to get a handle on the problem despite attempting all sorts of interventions in the economy to stem the problem. Some of the same mechanisms that we apply today. We could argue as to whether inflation was a symptom or a cause of the fall, as economists and historians do, but we know all too well from first-hand experience how ramified and complex are the consequences of the problem. Indeed, there are countless articles being written today about the accelerating decline of America's dominance. One in the Harvard Business Review lists the causes alleged by the uh, declinism school of thought. Real wages are falling, productivity growth is down, companies are competitive in global markets, white collar jobs are no longer secure, the nation's infrastructure is collapsing, the federal deficit is soaring, the health system is deteriorating, the cities are unsafe, the schools are failing, the gap between rich and poor is widening. Man, yo, this is uh this is true. You know, all these things is true, and all these things were things that happened back in the ancient Roman Empire. You know, and then they started implementing this thing called bread and circuses. You know, to keep the to lull the people back to sleep. You know, to keep them pacified. You know, to keep them distracted from the real problem. You know, here it is. You can barely make ends meet. You're living paycheck to paycheck, but you go home, you get on social media, you watch some games, basketball, football, whatever, some UFC, and you're entertained, you're distracted, you forget about your problems. You, shit, you Esau throwing drugs out here with fentanyl. They're legalizing marijuana. They're people drinking more, you know, just to distract themselves from the real problems, man. That all goes back to the bread and circuses in Rome, as they do now. But it says it costs a lot to maintain the world's greatest empire, whether that be ancient Rome or current America. Rome's coin, Rome's coins tell a story of a strapped empire faced with enhanced military spending and mob riots, and that's what's happening now. Enhanced military spending. I don't know how much it is now this year, but I know they spent a lot of money this year just on military alone. No, not like that's not even including the war on Ukraine or this new shit going on with in the land of Israel. But it says a situation that could sound familiar to us all. Consequently, it had to reduce the amount of silver in the coins it minted to cover those expenses. Over the decades that led to crippling inflation, one important factor on its fall, along with invading Goths, corruption, and over reliance on slave labor, hyperinflation was crippling the economy. In 284 AD, Emperor Diocletian attained power and tried to curb the free fall by introducing price controls. In 301 AD, he also presented a new silver coin called the Argentus, with one coin equal to 50 of the old denarii. But within a decade, one Argentus would be worth 100 denarii. Although there was no definitive number, economists and historians believe that Rome's inflation rate reached an all-time high of 15,000% between AD 200 and 300. So that's getting crazy, man. That's a crazy amount of inflation. And that's going to come here to America, man. Shit is going to be unaffordable, right? As I read in Revelation 6 and 6, right? It says this hyperinflation coupled with the debasement of the Roman denarius caused the Roman Empire to start losing money, and to counter that, they instituted more taxes on the people, which is going to happen here in America, thus deepening the disaffection and anger that was already growing among the population, as is happening now. People started bartering with goods and commodities instead of a centralized medium of exchange like the Roman denarius, right? So the bartering system, it might come here in America too, you know. But it says the deterioration of the Roman denarius, albeit along with other factors, accelerated a cascade of problems and contributed to the decline of the Roman Empire, which would eventually draw its last breath in 476 AD, when the Germanic leader uh, Odoacer staged a revolt and deposed Emperor Romulius Augustulus. From then on, no Roman emperor would ever again rule from a post in Italy, leading many to cite 476 as the year the Western Empire suffered its death blow. History is a wonderful teacher to those who study it. This might be a good cautionary tale for the U.S. But this is all prophecy, man. It's unavoidable. The time for America to end has come, and it's time for us, for our kingdom to come, man. For Israel to rise up, not the Israeli state or the state of Israel, but the nation of Israel. If you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, who are the true biblical Israelites, not these gutter rats that are posing to be us, right? Which is really the chief tribe of Esau, which is Amalek. But let's get some precepts real quick. Let's go ahead and get Proverbs. Proverbs, because I mentioned before how these people, they don't give a shit about you, man. You commoners, you citizens of America, they don't give a shit about y'all. This is Proverbs 29:7. It says, the righteous consider the cause of the poor, but the wicked regardeth not to know it. And who's in rule right now? The wicked. They don't give a shit about y'all, man. They don't care if y'all suffering. They don't care if y'all eating from the garbage. They don't care if y'all don't got two pennies to rub together, man. They don't give a shit. It says, scornful men bring a city into a snare, but wise men turn away wrath. Right? It says, when you read it in the NOT, it says, mockers, in verse 8, it says, mockers can get a whole town agitated, but the wise will calm anger. And that's what you're seeing, with these politicians. All they're doing is getting people agitated, man. They're rousing the people up to hey, to get angry, man. You're gonna start seeing, these little mobs and riots and shit, you know. But let's see. Let's go to the Apocrypha, and let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 14, and we'll start at verse 5. It says, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. Right? So he's evil to even to his own people, man. He's got his own people in the same position as Jake. You know? He don't give a shit about y'all. If he don't care about his own people, how much less will he care about you, Jake? Right? There's a scripture that tells us that their strength is to sit still. So whenever all hell breaks loose, shit collapses, your money ain't worth shit. These top people, top elites, your presidents or your mayors, your governors, all they're gonna do is sit back. They're gonna take a seat back and just gonna watch you squabble, man. They don't care. Verse 6, it says, there is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. If he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. And all this is planned out. Nothing that he does is done with the intention of doing any good. He creates these helps, that he puts in the system to try to help Jake out and all this and that. But really what it does, it cripples you, it makes you dependent upon him. So that then once you get used to, being dependent upon him, he pulls out, he just takes it away. And then he lets you, he leaves you in this state of need and want and dependency upon him, which is ultimately going to lead to Jake's downfall, if they don't wake up and start leaning onto the Lord. Because once he pulls all this out, pulls back all his helps, all his benefits and everything that he has out there for Jake right now, Section 8, Medicaid, Medicare, all these programs. Once he pulls all this back, and y'all got no food, you can't pay for your rent, you can't buy even water. He's gonna roll out a MOTB, and those Jakes that are dependent upon Esau, hey, they're gonna take it, and it's all gonna be as a snare to destroy you, right? But let's see. Let's look at this other precept too. I wanted to get this earlier. This is Habakkuk, just going into the inflation and the debt that Esau has built up. This is Habakkuk 2 and verse 6. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his? How long? and to him that laded himself with thick clay. That thick clay going into that debt, that Esau has amounted, man, has accumulated over the years. Which I say, man, they're not going to be able to pay this back off, man. This debt is going to be transferred over into taxes onto the people. That hyperinflation is going to set in here in America the same way as it did in Rome. We just read that article that, historians were saying that somewhere around 15,000, the inflation was somewhere around 15,000%. Hey, and that could happen here, and probably even worse than that, to the point where your dollar is going to be worthless. Your Benjamins that people like to, hold to high esteem, and all about your Benjamins and all this shit. MOB, cream, cash rules everything around me. Hey, all this money that y'all got ain't gonna be worth shit. Millionaires are gonna turn into peasants. That's what's coming. Right? Same thing that happened in Rome. You're gonna start having riots in the streets. People hunting down these mayors and governors and senators. Yeah, man, that was just that's pretty much it. That's all I had. Just going into the parallels between Rome and America. But I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. I pray this lesson was edifying. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. To you I say Shalom.